video, we're going to talk about display ad techniques that work to run any display campaign, whether you're talking about Google display, managing campaigns, YouTube campaigns, Facebook campaign, what you need to know to make any display advertising campaign work. Display advertising is very different into how search engine advertising works. That is, on search engines, everybody does it because even an amateur can usually do this pretty well and understand what's involved in it. That is, somebody's already looking for that Louisville Slugger baseball bat. You sell them, you show up there when they're searching for them on Google. It's not that hard. Granted, a lot of people screw it up still, and it is still a competition between you and the other Louisville baseball bat sellers on who's going to get that customer at a profitable enough rate to be able to afford to be there, and who's going to get the most of them. As you're talking about display ads, it's way harder because you have to interrupt people. So it takes more of a compelling offer and angle and pitch to actually get them to stop doing what they were doing, reading that article, whatever, to actually get off their butt and buy. And it just takes more to get them to want to buy because they're not already said known buyers, if you will, which you can get pretty close to it with display ads the way they are nowadays, especially with display ads, YouTube ads, because you can target people, literally speaking, who have searched for buy Louisville baseball bat in the recent past with your ad. And I'm going to talk about that in today's video. The upside, by the way, of just doing display ads is potential is unlimited, practically speaking, compared to what you can get done with search ads. If you can make $1 million a year with search ads, you can make 10, generally speaking, running display ads because you have way more opportunities and you have more chances to sell to somebody who would buy a baseball bat than only targeting them in that small window of time they're making a Google search and that's it. Especially considering you're generally competing against 10 other people selling them a baseball bat all on Google at the same time as you're trying to sell it to them. So with that said, I'm gonna go through what it is that this formula is and then what kind of results you can get with it. If you stay to the end of the video, we'll talk about real case study examples of display campaigns that we have run that were wildly successful. I'll tell you about how to do that for yourself. And then with that, you'll have everything you need to walk away from this with the basic framework of knowing how to do this for yourself. I am Corey Zyman, owner of Guaranteed PPC, a PPC agency that specializes in running ads at Google, Facebook, and all the major ad platforms out there. Our agency is different in that we offer literal guaranteed results for our clients at the start of our relationship. That is, we cannot raise your profitability of your ads a certain minimum amount of upfront to offset our management fees. There is no management fee, no other agency that has any kind of guts to offer anything like that out there on the market. And it's just like it sounds. Sounds good to be true, but we do actually offer that and been in business for 10 years now. I personally manage about 50 different ad accounts at any given time for 50 different clients, if you will. And with that, all the information I get from doing all the ad testing with the millions of dollars of ad spend that I'm responsible for on an ongoing basis, I give you here on this channel about what works and what doesn't work, and you're getting the information straight from the source. So with that said, getting into the content, the elements of any working display campaign, you have these 5 components that you have to get right, and if you don't get them all right, you're not going to get the campaign to work. Granted, you could get most of them right and one of them kind of right and still make money. The more of these you get right, the better you get them right, the higher the chances it's going to work. With that said, these are all in order here in which you should consider what you're doing if you want to put together that Facebook campaign, that YouTube campaign, and get it to actually pay for itself. That is, make enough dollars of revenue attributed to that campaign to offset the cost of running that ad and to offset the cost of the delivery of the product and or service and whatnot else. What else you have to pay for as far as overhead in your business. So with that said, the first thing you got to consider right off the top is just who is your customer? Which sounds like a stupid question, but still to this day, most people get this wrong. When you get into business, you have to understand who buys. If you're going to sell a golf club, and you got to know who buys that golf club. What most people will say, well, anybody who buys golf clubs is my customer. And that's stupid, basically, frankly. You need to understand, well, people who buy golf clubs, what is their income? What is their hobbies? Why do they buy golf clubs? Why do they consider one type of golf club better over another? What golf clubs in general sell better than others in terms of the general categories? The more you understand about all this going in, the higher the chances of you making this display campaign pay for itself after all your expenses, like I just mentioned. And why? Because you can narrow down your ads to the actual buyers. Because the number one thing that people mess up on once they understand what to say to the people they need to say it to and they have a good product or service to offer in the first place that's competitive in their market and that there's demand for, is they show their ads to too many damn people. It's the same thing with search engine advertising as well, but if you had unlimited money to market whatever you have to everybody in the US, all 400 million people, you would make money if the advertising was free. Okay? You've got to pay for this advertising, so you can only show it to so many people that won't buy before your campaign becomes unprofitable. The general rule of thumb is if you can find an audience of buyers where who you're marketing to, at least 1% of those people would buy if they just knew about your offer, you can make money. So how is it that we narrow down the targeting of that 400 million people, or in another country if you're operating there, to that small sub segment of the 400 million people in our country, that 1% or greater of the people that we're going to show it to are buyers and would buy, not just are buyers, could be buyers, but they saw that offer and they would damn well stop what they're doing to buy it. If you could find that, 80% of your job, if you will, with this is already figured out. Okay? So, and then there's two main ways to do that. You could either A, do research on your market, read your competitors' reviews, find out, like go to different niche industry forums, ask people what they're looking for, why they buy, do research that way. Or if you've been in business for a while, you just simply take your customer list and you go to a data firm like Experian or Axicom, and you give them the customer list. You need to have usually 1,000 plus customers to do this, and it's better to have 10,000 plus. But you give them the customer list and they'll tell you everything they know about those customers and how they're correlated together. What they like, what do they most often like that is most frequent on the list. Out of all the different hobbies, is people, eating out at fast food restaurants the most common. And out of all the customers you have, where do they, are they located in the South, Northeast, whatever it is? And they'll give you back that data, and that's a great starting point to know how to narrow down your audience to that, so you have that 1% saturation level with who you're going to target right off the bat. So you have that. Then the second thing to mention here is how exciting is your offer. Some products are so good that simply just showing the customer a demo of that product is already good enough to sell it. And great if you have that. And by the way, that should be your goal in business, is to have something that good and that unique, because you studied what the public wanted, found a way to create a product that did that, and you got it, and you're bringing it to market, and you just have to show it to them and you're done. If you aren't like that, what you generally have to do to make your campaign work is you have to come up with an offer to promote what you're doing, so that what you do offer becomes exciting enough for someone to see your ad and actually stop what they were doing, stop watching that video, stop reading that news article, to stop and click through your ad to go ahead and buy, or at least seriously consider, so they'll buy whatever you have later on. And to give you an example of that, like for instance, if you're a mortgage broker selling mortgages, you can't just say, hey, I'm a mortgage broker, come and get a mortgage through us. Even if I'm in market for a mortgage, you're still not going to get me to stop reading that news article that your ad shows up on to go and get a mortgage from you, because I know at any given time, I could go to Google, type in mortgage broker in Dallas, and find 15,000 results right there, and I don't need to. So what are you going to do that's going to compel me to stop what I'm doing right then and there as soon as I see that ad, to take action, not later, but now? And generally speaking, you got to get in the customer's shoes to understand what they want. It's not about what you want. Of course, you want them to buy without having to do dick for it. What they want is something extraordinary. Otherwise, I'm not getting my couch to do anything here. So, and get my wallet and go ahead and buy. And I wasn't ready to buy, but now I am, and so on and so forth. So in the mortgage broker space, what we did is we found a way a couple different ways actually, to interrupt somebody to get them to want to buy a mortgage. Certainly, it's still wildly beneficial to us to market to people who are already in market for a mortgage, generally speaking, with that. But at least they're currently evaluating vendors. Not they're looking for houses, but they're currently evaluating vendors. That obviously is a big part of the equation here. But what we found to do is we say, hey, we have the best rates on mortgages in the Dallas area. If we don't, we'll give you a $50 Outback Steakhouse gift card. And even if you don't have the lowest rates, which a lot of people are going to default and say, haha, Corey, I can't do that. I would lose so much money, or whatever. you don't have to be the cheapest, because the thought is, if you see that offer that takes some balls to offer, you're automatically assuming that that company would make that offer if they didn't have the cheapest rates. And then for the few that, do call you on it, your lead cost is so cheap and you're making so much money, who cares that you have to give out a couple of gift cards? A lot of people are just going to scoff at that, even though I tell them exactly what we were doing for mortgage broker A that worked for their mortgage broker business, because they say, well, maybe somebody will take advantage of me, blah, blah, blah. And then you end up making nothing. Your offer has to be so good that you have some anxiety about it, because if you haven't went to that level, it's probably not that exciting to the user. Or the higher the click-through rate on your ad, the more visitors you get for the same budget. And if your click-through rate is too low, the cost per visit to your site's going to be so high then that you can't make an ROI. You can be as generic as you want. You're just going to pay the price and higher cost per click and that's just how it is. So we had that. Another one we went with is we'd give you $500 cash back for going with us for your mortgage. So whereas the other guy isn't going to give you anything, you sign with us, we'll give you $500 right at signing. Car dealerships do a lot of this. Buy your new Ford Fiesta from us, and we'll give you $1,000 right at the time of signing. So when you're comparing one versus the other, it's obvious who to go with or go through, whatever. So, and there's a lot of different ways to do an offer. I encourage you to subscribe to this channel, and I talk about how to create offers. You can search for how to make a good PPC offer on an ad offer on my channel homepage in the search results, in the search bar there. And you can learn about a lot of this stuff. You can run contests. You can generate, if you can make 10 baskets in a row at our car dealership, we'll give you a brand new car to get people into the car dealership. And you can go that route with it. You can say, hey, click this ad and we'll give you 50% off anything in the store as a way to get them to buy something, get them as a customer, and then upsell them, after that, and make the 50% off offering, make that financially work. So there's a lot of ways to go about doing things. It doesn't have to be just a discount. It doesn't have to be a freebie. It doesn't have to be, it could be an upgrade, a guarantee. There's a lot of different ways to do this. Subscribe to my channel so you can understand how this stuff works. And I give you many different examples of different markets where we've run display ads, what it took to be profitable there. Whether that be roofing, where the best thing that worked there was having a finance plan and saying we offer $50 a month, you can get a roof, and so on and so forth. You can hear all those different examples if you stay tuned to this channel, which also if you do that, you should also check out my blog. You can find my blog at guaranteedppc.com/blog with actual strategies like that, with the offers that we've ran before that you can literally use if you're in those industries, copy paste that into your account, or the concept of it into your account and get the same results we're getting. You should check that blog out that I keep over there as well. But getting back to the content here, you may need to create an offer in order to have your ad be exciting enough to get a high click-through rate enough so that the people that you are showing the ad to, even though you still have 1% of buyers in there, that it'll get them to click through at a high enough rate to make things work. Then you got to have what your audience want to hear. Now, this kind of is related to what I just mentioned about coming up with an offer to make a benign offer or benign product or service exciting again. But along with that, what I more so am talking about here is if you're selling, let's say, a mattress. What I did when I first started selling mattresses, and I've done it for multiple companies now, is I go ahead and I find out why people are buying a mattress. And then what do I do to find that out is I read all the customer reviews. What are people basically saying that they wish they had or bitching about? Because both are very helpful to us to understand how to make an effective ad. One of the things that, for instance, that were most common, because any one-off thing that people mention isn't useful. Where we find use in that data is through stuff that people mention multiple times. Multiple people have mentioned it, which indicate to us that it's a big enough concern that lots of people now care about that exact thing. One of the things in the mattress world was they don't like to feel the mattress feel hot if you're laying on it. One of the other things is they want to know a good mattress for side sleepers. If I'm asleep on my side, I want to make sure this is a good mattress for them. And then finding out from there, at least 10% of the people sleep on their side. The other thing was, how durable is the damn thing? And so you start writing all these down, you try to rank stack it, and then with your ad now, you should mention the stuff that seems like that's the most important to the user. And then sometimes you won't really know for sure, but at least you've done the research to get as close as possible as soon as possible. Then you can go ahead and create 5 or 10 different banner ads that focus on each one of those things and just see which one pulls the most, and then you'll know for sure which one resonates the most with the general public. Does not get hot when sleeping on it. Has 10-year warranty, indicating that it's a higher quality mattress. Best #1 mattress voted for side sleepers. And again, just see. And then sometimes the answer there, by the way, is understanding that you have 5 different types of customers who buy for 5 different types of reasons. Some people buy because they want a mattress because they want the coolest one. Some people buy because they want the best for side sleepers. And then you have all your ads running in rotation. Certain ones with a certain message sucks out the demand of the certain segment of the market who cares about that and that only. Then you have another one that sucks out a different portion of the market. And you run those all in rotation to get the most sales you can. But you get the general idea, and then along with understanding the primary offer of what you're offering and knowing if that's good enough to actually capture someone's attention and can redirect attention away from an article or video to your site, you got what it is about what you have, the core offer that makes it better than anything else that they've seen before, so that once you are targeting me and that you know that I'm in market for a mattress already, because you can do that with custom intent audiences through Google, and your banner ads and your video ads can target somebody who's made a search for buy mattress on Google in the recent past. I can have my ad, if you will, say best #1 mattress voted for side sleepers there, and I now have something that's good enough to get someone's attention. And if it wasn't, we could say #1 mattress voted for side sleepers, click here to get a $250 cashback gift certificate on your next purchase, and make it a little bit sweeter. But you get to the general idea. You got to know who you're selling to, get rid of as much waste circulation of your ad as possible. Then you got to know your offer should be better than any other offer that you see in your niche market. And you need to have high click-through rates on your ads. Depending on what platform you're on, your click-through rate will be better, more or less, based upon the potential of what you can do on certain platforms. If you're running Google Display Network ads, you want to have a click-through rate that's approaching 1%, because that indicates you have a good enough offer on your ad that things should be able to work well for you. If you're talking about Facebook, if your ad doesn't get a couple percent click-through rates, then you have room for improvement there. So you can, just by doing everything I told you so far, you'll be so far ahead of anybody else you're competing with. It'll be very hard for you not to make some sort of display ad work for you already, because none of your competition is going to go through all the hassle. They'll probably they may be big. They can afford an ad agency, a big ad agency, but I promise you those ad agencies don't even do what I'm telling you about here either. They have novices putting your campaign together that don't give a rat's ass whether it works or not, and just hope that you don't know how to measure it. And if you do, yay, we have a long-term client here. And that's who you're competing against. So with that said, everything I mentioned so far is very important. Then you have to design your ad. How do you take everything that you have to wrap into the ad to get the user's attention in a way that gets their attention at the highest rate possible? That is, it's the most clear for the user. And you can do that through, the best ways to do it is through video ads nowadays. And generally speaking, when you're talking about video ads, you're talking about user-generated content ads. That is, instead of saying, this is the #1 ad for side sleepers, you have what looks like a customer reviewing the product saying, oh wow, I was looking for a side sleeper mattress that's good for side sleepers, and I found the #1 mattress for side sleepers, and go that route. Why? Because that'll generally work at least 4 times better than an ad where you say it's the best for side sleepers, because people don't believe what you say nearly as much as what other people say about you. Or you have an independent review authority that has reviewed your mattress, verified it's #1 for side sleepers, and then you mention that. You'll always be better off saying mentioning what somebody else said about you than what saying it yourself. Unless there's like very little competition in your space, and then a lot of times just saying it yourself is already going to get you enough profitability to scale your campaigns with. Then besides video, you have text-heavy copy. Banner ads, I see most banner ads you see, if you want to copy what other people in your space are doing, they aren't going to work. Why? Because they make the ad look nice and pretty and everything, but they don't get to the core of what gets people's attention. What gets people's attention is saying, get $500 back on your home loan this month, and just having that message. Why? We've literally ran ads. It's all it was a white background with black text on it, and we crushed any results that they were getting with their ad before. And you can do that just by understanding what people want to hear and work on the offer and not expect to just take a boring ass offer and get around having to make a good offer by making the ad better. It's going to take a million times more work to try to make an ad design for a poor offer work than you could just find the offer that works and do a boring ad like I just mentioned and still make 10 times as much money. So you don't have to be good at making ad designs if you just know what people want to hear. And if you do the research, you can find out what people want to hear if what you have by default is already not amazing in and itself. So those are the two main ways I would run an ad. And of course, with that, you have to identify which platform to get on. And then on the platform, how to target. Platform-wise, generally speaking, what, by the way, will work on one platform will work on all the others. If it works on Facebook, it'll work on Google Display. If it works on Google Display, it'll work on YouTube. If it works on YouTube, it'll work on demand gen campaigns through your Google Ads account. Why? Because that's just basically the way that it is. It's not necessarily going to make you the same money on each one, but if you adjust what you're paying per click or what you're willing to pay per click or pay per lead or ROI, you can get the same ROI on every ad placement. Yes, one will bring more volume than the other, but that's easy to dial in. And if you need a 500% ROI and it works on one platform, you probably get some sales at a 500% ROI on all the other main ones. Especially if you set up the tracking and you're able to weed out what you start out with that isn't getting you the 500% ROI. But with that said, still, the main thing that dictates where you should start out is what type of offer you have. If you have a B2B style offer, LinkedIn and or Facebook is going to be it, obviously running the newsfeed ads. If you're running like a e-commerce offer, I would recommend for sure like YouTube ads and or display ads, probably YouTube ads and probably demand gen campaigns. Regular display campaigns on Google aren't nearly as good as demand gen and YouTube campaigns because they have a lot less bot clicks and you get in front of real users at a much higher rate. But these are just general rules of thumb. Nothing applies to any one product universally, if you will. So you just got to test it on all the platforms. Once you find out the audience that works, that same audience targeting them on another platform, it's just another way to get more sales out of that audience. That's why you'll be able to get some sales at the ROI you want on all the platforms once you find out that ad and that offer you put together and constructed will work on one platform. So with that said, the one benefit that Google has over Facebook is that you could target people who are actively in market for what you sell. If you want people that are in market for an outsourced CFO company to get a fractional CFO, you could target people on YouTube, Gmail, Google Display Network that are actually in market because they've typed that in Google in the recent past. You can't do that through Facebook anymore. That said, there are ways though with Facebook to target people that are in market, and for something like that, that's what it takes, because you're not going to convince, at least very easily, somebody to get a fractional CFO if they weren't at all interested in that beforehand. Not impossible, and there's ways around that, which if that's you, by the way, and you're in a market like that, your other way to go about doing things is to just do a bribe. You can say, here, see how this company saved, this plumbing manufacturing company saved $1 million a year, targeted at other plumbing manufacturing CFOs, and say nothing about the product or service, and then get them read in an ebook that then markets your product or service in it. Or, as we've done before in the CFO space, offer them $15 gift card to Starbucks for 15 minutes of your time, and then you get killer salespeople in on a demo, and you sell to people that way, and you bring up the product on the demo. And that's another way to take a boring offer and get it to a display campaign to work. Like I mentioned before, there's many ways to kind of skin a cat as it comes to developing an offer, and it doesn't matter how boring of a product or service you're starting with, as long as there's people out there that could buy it and that there is value, there's a way to market it through a display ad. But with that said, on Facebook and on LinkedIn, you don't have to use the inherent default targeting options that these platforms have. Google has the advantage of targeting people that they can tell you are in market for a CFO outsourcing company because they got all the Google data. They got all the YouTube search data too. But on Facebook and LinkedIn, as well as Twitter, you could target an email list / phone number list as well. And with that, you can literally go to Zoom Info and find a list of people who are in market for a outsourced accountancy service, download the email list from there, upload it to Facebook/LinkedIn/Twitter, and target people while they're on those platforms by email list. And then so if you need to go super targeted with your targeting to get to that 1% threshold ratio I talked about before, that's one way to do it. And if you don't do that, like I said, you can actually, if you know a lot of people who just aren't ever in market for what you sell, or don't want to limit yourself to people who already know that they want and need an outsourced CFO, you target somebody to just get them into a sales meeting, and then you pitch them there once you got their full attention, like we mentioned we did with the CFO company and client we worked with before. So anyway, as far as making a working display campaign, these are the elements right here overall 1 through 5 that we're going to use to get results for our clients at our firm. If you want to understand how to do this and are still just confused as to where to start, which I know what I gave you here can be very overwhelming, all you have to do is just reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com. I'd be more than happy to have a quick conversation with you about what I would do specifically for the type of product or service you have. And then along with that, I can also give you some estimates as to what results that campaign should be able to deliver for you. And then if we can guarantee something for you, that is, we'd be willing to take you on as a client, because we don't take on just any company. We got to know we can do well with something to agree to take that client on. We can tell you what we can guarantee for it on top of everything else. At the very least, you're going to get some really good free information about what kind of potential you have with what you're doing, and are you at least on the right track? Does your offer need to be better or whatever? And maybe we'll just be able to do all the work for you and then start taking our management fee once we get you the results already, which I mentioned at the start of this video we do as our primary offer at our advertising firm. So, and then of course, apart from that, I should say, if we've worked in your niche market before even, and you like managing your own campaigns, you can just take the winning display campaign, display ads, the targeting, everything that we had before, and just copy paste all the results that we got with it into your own ad account. This is the by far most simple, rational thing to do for yourself. If we've already got the results that you're looking for in your niche market, take the winning version of the entire campaign funnel we've developed, use it for yourself. We sell them for a one-time fee. At the very least, you should reach out to me to see if we've already worked in your niche market before, because we can get those same results for yourself, and you don't have to do any of the learning and spending the money that we spent to figure out what works the best in your niche market. We got people that use these templates to start whole other businesses because it's the easiest way to get something started, frankly. You want to start a new company, take a template that sells a known item or service at a profitable rate. The hard part of developing that business is already figured out right from the start. But, with that said, you get my point. It may simply just be easier for you to reach out to the expert to get this set up, or you go ahead and try some different things for yourself. There's no reason why you can't do this for yourself. It's just going to probably take you more testing of what your offer is, targeting, because you need a great offer, you need the right targeting, and you need an ad that encapsulates that offer really, really well with some good tracking to go along with it. So whatever you're starting out with, you can figure out the 10% of it that actually does deliver the return you're looking for. And you need to spend some money to figure out what, did it work, and or what portion of it works, so we can focus on that. And then now you've got something that will work, with the upside being it might take you a few $1,000s to find something that can break even after all your expenses, but it'll probably run for the next 5-10 years without any problems. And whatever you spent to get it going, you're literally going to make that every week once this thing is scaled up. You always start out with a small amount of advertising spend, whether that be 100 a day, 10 a day, whatever. And once that's profitable, you scale it up. The money is in the scaling part. It's so much work to get things to be set up right, to get a certain cost per lead or ROI that you're looking for, that if you never scaled it up past $100 a day in advertising spend, you would never get the value out of the time you spend up front to get it. Every single campaign we're working on for a client, that's exactly what we do. That's the process we go through. A lot of people would like to just get rich overnight. Rarely does it happen like that unless you've got something that's got super high demand with low competition, super low competition. You get the $100 a day to hit a certain cost per lead or ROI that you need. Then you go 100 a day to 125 a day, then to 170 a day, to 225 a day. And then over the next 3 to 5 years, you're up to spending, $5,000 a day, and you're making millions and millions. So a lot of people see their leading companies in their space spending all this advertising money, but they didn't see the whole long slog of work that they had to do to build that campaign up over time, and didn't realize necessarily that they started out at a small level, like I'm saying that you have to start out, that most companies start out. They don't, I can tell you, because I've seen people do this, been doing this for 10 years at our advertising agency. The typical person doesn't start off spending $50,000 a month in ads. They may spend that today, but they started out spending 3, then it was 6, and then it was 9, and then they just kept recycling their profits into the structure they set up. That's going to be what 98% of people do, frankly. So everybody just wants this one ad that, they make it big because they found the perfect ad that will sell that product or service. And the reality is, it's a bunch of work to find out what that perfect ad is, yes, but you have to advertise to find the 10% of what you're doing that works. And then once you find that, you can spend a little bit more. And then of the new spend, you have to find out what portion of that works, weed out all the bad stuff, then spend a little bit more. And you got to do that over and over and over and over and over again to find a way to spend a whole lot of money and spend it while getting an ROI that's acceptable to your business at the end of the day. So anyway, with that said, if you have any questions about anything I covered here, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or comment about any of the topics I talk about on this channel or any other ad-related question. I'm more than happy to give back to you guys and give you some free commentary on what you're doing. But with that said, I'll wrap it up with that. Thank you very much for watching.